Strengthening Organic Enforcement, also known as SOE, for CCOF certified clients. Thank you for joining us to learn more about the USDA NOP's Strengthening Organic Enforcement Rule. All CCOF clients will need to become familiar with these new regulations. Before we dive into the details, we want to reassure you that CCOF will offer a variety of tools to support you through these changes. Keep a close eye on compliance reports, emails, our newsletter, and our website to learn more throughout 2023 and 2024. SOE covers a variety of topics, including requiring many brokers to get certified, increase import and export oversight, strengthening supply chain oversight through fraud prevention plans, new non-retail labeling requirements, and the appearance of organic certificates, just to name a few. CCOF will alert clients of applicable changes well before the March 19, 2024 deadline. We will explore some of the key ways CCOF clients will be impacted by SOE in the remainder of this video. If applicable, ensure uncertified operations that you purchase from review and complete the exempt handler affidavit as soon as possible. You are not responsible for verifying whether your buyers require certification, though CCOF will need additional information about private label brand owners you co-pack for. If operations you work with need to get certified, encourage these entities to contact CCOF's applicant support team by emailing getcertified@ccof.org. Operations that are no longer exempt have until March 19, 2024 to become certified. Working with non-exempt, uncertified operations after this date could cause supply chain disruption. Continuing to source organic products from non-exempt, uncertified operations such as importers or brokers could negatively impact your organic certification. First, let's talk about exempt operations. Under SOE, fewer operations handling organic products can remain uncertified. You can watch the other videos in this series to learn more. To confirm your supply chain is meeting the new regulations, CCOF has provided our clients the Exempt Handler Affidavit. This form, in conjunction with CCOF's Organic Certification Self-Assessment and our website resources, will help determine what uncertified operations in your network need to get certified before March 19, 2024. SOE also impacts import and export requirements. SOE requires all organic imports into the United States to be declared as organic and associated with an NOP import certificate. An NOP import certificate is a transaction certificate that contains detailed information about the quantity and origin of organic product being imported into the United States. Both the importer and the exporter must be certified, regardless of the product packaging. Exporters will need to request the import certificate from their certification agency and then provide it to the importer. The importer, or their customs broker, will enter the import certificate number with the import filing in the ACE database, also known as the Automated Commercial Environment, managed by the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. The certifier may issue the NOP import certificate for a single transaction or, in certain cases, for a time frame. If issued for a time frame, the NOP import certificate would cover a certain amount of a single commodity being shipped to a specific importer in the U.S. over that period of time. A separate NOP import certificate would be needed if shipping a different commodity or to a different importer. This allowance for timeframe certificates can alleviate the administrative burden for operations with high frequency of shipments, especially for fresh produce coming overland from Canada or Mexico. Organic products may not be treated with prohibited substances and sold as organic, even if fumigation is required by the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. The exporter and the importer are responsible for ensuring that the product has not been treated with a prohibited substance or ionizing radiation at any point in the product's movement across country border. Now let's discuss supply chain traceability. The Strengthening Organic Enforcement updates codify audit trail requirements, most of which were already required by CCOF. Operations must maintain adequate audit trail records that fully disclose all activities and transactions. These records must be in sufficient detail to be readily understood and audited. Records must cover the entire time period from purchase or receipt of organic goods, through production, and through sale or transport. They must also trace back to the last certified operation in the supply chain. This means that audit trail documentation needs to include a document produced by the last certified operation in the supply chain, and that document must clearly link to all other audit trail documents. SOE will require audit trail documentation to identify organic products as 100% organic, or made with organic specified ingredients or food groups, as appropriate. Operations may use abbreviations or acronyms to identify organic products, provided that the abbreviations or acronyms are easily understood. Additionally, SOE will require certified operations to create a fraud prevention plan. Fraud prevention plans must include a description of the monitoring practices and procedures to be performed and maintained, including the frequency with which they will be performed to verify that the plan is effectively implemented. It must describe the monitoring practices and procedures to verify suppliers in the supply chain, organic status of products received, and to prevent fraud as appropriate to the certified operations activities, scope, and complexity. The NOP has provided some best practices for creating fraud prevention plans, which include the following steps. Create a map or inventory of your supply chain that identifies suppliers. Identify critical control points in your supply chain where organic fraud or loss of organic status are most likely to occur. Conduct a vulnerability assessment to identify weakness in your practices and your supply chain. Establish a supplier verification process to minimize vulnerabilities due to your suppliers. Implement mitigation measures to correct identified vulnerabilities and risk. Establish monitoring practices and verification tools to assess effectiveness of your mitigation measures. And lastly, establish a process for reporting suspected fraud to your certifier and the NOP. Under SOE regulations, certifiers are required to conduct risk-based supply chain traceability audits for operations they certify. A supply chain traceability audit is the process of identifying and tracking the movement, sale, custody, handling, and organic status of a product along a supply chain. The objective of the supply chain audit is to verify a product's compliance with the organic regulations. The supply chain may span several operations and certifiers. Certifiers are required to work together to verify the supply chain and maintain the necessary confidential information shared to verify the supply chain. If you receive a request for information or records related to your supply chain, please respond promptly to ensure that we can complete the audit in a timely manner. Now let's discuss non-retail labeling under SOE. Non-retail containers are used for shipping or storage of agricultural products and may include produce boxes, totes, harvest crates and bins, boxes, cartons, master cases, trailers, tanks, rail cars, shipping containers, grain elevators, and more. Previously, it was optional, though strongly recommended, to identify organic status on non-retail containers and to include lot numbers if used. SOE now requires non-retail containers to identify the organic status of the product. All non-retail containers used for shipping or storage of organic products must meet this requirement, except those containing product packaged for retail sale with organic identification visible on the retail label. Organic identification can be anything that allows someone to clearly and immediately identify the contents as organic, such as a short statement, organic, the abbreviation or acronym like those seen on this slide, or the USDA seal. Operations may use temporary signage or labels for containers that are difficult to label due to size, shape, material, etc. Lastly, SOE also requires non-retail containers to display unique information, such as product lot number, that links the container to the audit trail documentation. The audit trail documentation for non-retail labeled products must also identify the last certified operation to handle the product. Another update included in the SOE regulation applies to NOP organic certificates. NOP organic certificates will be standardized across all certifiers. Certifiers will now be required to create the organic certificate in the NOP Organic Integrity Database. Your certificate will look different as a result and will include a QR code and a link to your page in the Organic Integrity Database. Certificates will be publicly available on the NOP Integrity Database. All clients will receive a new organic certificate with the new format by the implementation date. This change does not impact your client profile listing specific crops and products or any additional certification or verification program, such as the Global Market Access Program, Mexico Compliance Program, or Food Safety Program. The client profile will look the same with the addition of the link to the Organic Integrity Database. All certificates, including the new organic certificate, will be available for review and download from My CCOF. Thanks for joining us to learn about the Strengthening Organic Enforcement Rule. Please carefully review the SOE regulations and CCOF resources. We recognize that these are significant changes for the organic community and are well prepared to assist. Impacted CCOF clients have been sent initial notification of all major SOE changes. Contact your certification service specialist with any questions and resolve SOE requests promptly. Quick action will ensure that you can smoothly continue business after the March 19, 2024 deadline. Uncertified operations in your network can email getcertified@ccof.org or call our main line and use extension 1 to get started today.